All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at parabolas, okay? And we're going to talk about writing parabolas this time, where last time we talked about graphing them. Shh, I'm recording currently, so if you could be quiet right now, that would be great. Jalen, I'm teaching up here, honey, so if you could move your seat back to where it needs to be so you can see the board, that would be great. Okay, so I think we should always write these things down at the top of your homework and things like that so that you don't have to keep flipping back and forth or looking for it. Is the standard form for vertical and horizontal parabolas. Okay, so my vertical is x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. And my horizontal is y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. Okay. Blank is the distance from the vertex to the focus and the directrix. That's the absolute value of p. Absolute value means it's always positive. Okay? So what we're going to do, the first 4 problems is looking at the graph and figuring out what the equation is. And then we're going to do if we have the vertex and the focus point, or the vertex and the directrix, or the focus point and the directrix. So I'm going to at least do one of each, and we'll see how much time we have left if we want to do some others. Okay, I'm going to probably do 2 different graphs just so you can see both ways. Please don't talk while I'm talking. All right, first, from here, I can see clearly that my vertex is 0, 5. It's this point right here. Now, P is the distance to my focus point, so that's 2 away. Therefore, we should be able to plug everything in to this equation. Okay? This is a vertical, so we're going to go x minus 0 squared equals 4 times 2 times y minus 5. Now we're just going to simplify it because we don't need that 0 there, and we get x squared equals 4 times 8. We'll change that to 8. 4 times 2 is 8. Y minus 5. So we just simplified all of it. We're done. That's it. Yep. Okay, let's skip down to number 4 because it's a little harder. Okay, 2 is a little bit easier. So let's skip down. No, let's do 3 because we want to do a sideways one. So let's do 3. Okay. First thing we're going to do for all of these is we're going to find the vertex. My vertex is -6, 1. Jalen, can you pull the door closed for me? I keep hearing this off. Okay. And then P, the distance away, look how far we're away from my directrix. We're 1 away, so that equals P is 1. So now we're just going to plug it in. Y minus 1 squared. And this is a horizontal, so I have to use this one, this equation, right? So that's why I'm doing y. Y minus 1 squared equals 4 times 1 times x plus 6. So that's y minus 1 squared equals 4 times x plus 6. And I'm done. That's the whole thing. Pretty straightforward, right?
Where'd you get 1 from?
1, that's the distance between the vertex and the directrix. So I need to find 2 things whenever I have a graph to make it an equation. The vertex and P. You just shut the door, Jalen. I'm sorry. Okay. Vertex and focus point. If we're trying to find the equation. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 of these, one really easy one and then one harder one. Okay, vertex and focus point making the equation. Okay, so do you see how the focus point, it's the y value that changed? Therefore, we know it's vertical. Okay, so P in this case is the distance from the vertex to the focus point. What's the distance from the vertex 4? Good. Okay, so 4P equals 16. We can just like think of that backwards, right? And then we've got this equation. Please stop talking. We've got x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k, right? So we know what 4p is, that's 16. So we know x minus 0 is just x squared equals 4p, I know that's 16. And I know that k is 0, so I can just say y, and that's my whole problem. That's it. Okay, now I think we better do one that's harder than this. But is still doing with, this is x squared equals 16y. But it's still dealing with vertex and focus point. So let's turn it over. And we're going to try number 8. We're going to look at number 8. Okay, first, let's look. Do you guys see how these both say -6? Okay, that means it's the x values that changed. Now, if the x values change, is it horizontal or vertical? Horizontal, good. All right, so it is horizontal. So now, what is the distance between 2 and -3? 2 plus what gives me -3? -1. 2 plus -1 would give me 1. 2 plus what gives me -3? -5, yeah. So p equals to -5. So we know 4p is going to equal, what's 4 times -5? Right. So it's just, excuse me, y plus 6 squared equals -20 times x minus 2. So far, so good? All right, let's do an easy vertex and directrix, and then we'll do a harder vertex and directrix. Let's do number 10, right below. Okay. Now, the directrix says x equals something. Does that make it horizontal or vertical?
That makes it
Horizontal. It makes it horizontal. Okay. All right. So, if the directrix is -2, that means 0 to -2. How far did I go? I went -2. Remember, p is always the opposite. Okay? P always equals the opposite of the directrix. It's the same as the focus point, opposite the directrix. So what does 4p equal? What's 8? Thank you. So we know it's 0, so it's y squared. We don't have to add anything or subtract anything from y because we just multiplied 2 times 4. Okay? And that equals 8, because that's 4p, times, we're not adding or subtracting anything to x, so it's just x. Okay, let's just go ahead and do number 12. It's a bit harder. Same thing with that directrix. Okay, let's look. This says y equals. So is it horizontal or vertical? Vertical, good. Okay, what's the opposite? If we're going from -1 to -8, how far did we go over? We went -7. Remember, it's the opposite of that. P equals 7. And then remember, we're going to go 4p equals, so what's 7 times 4, guys? 28. Okay, so that's my 4p. So now I'm going to go x plus 1, I got that from here, squared, equals 28 times y, I get right here, plus 1. That's it. How are we feeling?
So when you put them in the parentheses, it's always the opposite of
Yep. Because the equation itself has negatives, so it's kind of like doing a negative times a negative. Okay. All right. Let's move on and do a focus with a directrix. So this is what we've done. We've done vertex and focus, We've done vertex and directrix. Now we're going to do focus and directrix. Okay, so let's look at 13. Let's look at 13. Okay, my focus is 3, 0, and my directrix is x equals -3. Okay, so is this going to be vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. Okay, that's the first step. Now we've got to figure out what the vertex is. The vertex is right in between the focus point and the directrix. So we're just going to go 3 plus -3 divided by 2. That gives us 0. So my vertex is 0, 0. Okay? The distance between the focus point and the vertex is 3, so p equals 3. So 4p equals, what's 3 times 4? 12. So y squared, Jordan, will you close the door for us, please? Y squared equals 12x. It's a vertex of 0, so I didn't have to add anything to y squared. It's a vertex of 0, so I didn't have to add anything to x. So
you have to add the x, both the x's and divide by 2.
yeah. You want to do number 16? Sure. Do you want to do number 16 because it has fractions and that freaks you out? Okay. All right. Okay. So let's look at this. The directrix says y equals. So is this horizontal or vertical? Vertical. Okay? If it's vertical, it means that those y values changed. So see how we have both these y values right here? Okay, so we're going to go -3/2 plus a -1/2 divided by 2. Okay? What's 3, -3 plus a -1? -4. -4 divided by 2 is what? -2. -2 divided by 2 is what? What kind of one? -1. So my vertex, I know what my x value is for my vertex from my focus point, -4. I know what my y value is right here. I found it, -1. Okay. So what's my p value? How far away did I go? I went -1/2. Yeah. So 4p, -1/2 times 4 is, stop talking please, is -2. Shh, this is the last problem. You just have to shut up just till this problem's over. Shh. Okay, so 4p is -2 because I went 1/2 times 4. Again, you can put that right in your calculator, guys, and it'll give it to you.
Wouldn't it be positive? Or is it the opposite?
No, because we are using the focus point to figure it out. Okay, so, foci. So we've got x. What are we adding to the x value? Yeah, we're subtracting a -4, so we're adding 4. What's my p value? 4p value? -2. And then I'm going y plus what? Or minus what? Y plus 1. That's it. Okay? All right, I'm going to pass out your homework. And that's it.